The message you are going to hear, Wake Up Judah 100% supports.
So I don't think that it's realistic for any people group to say, well, the things that have brought us this far, we're going to get rid of. I do think it's realistic to say, again, I know who I am. I know where I come from. And again, particularly for Black Americans whose family history stretches back generations in this country, that place is America, right? If you don't know where you come from in Africa, you may say African American, but it really doesn't have, a particular meaning. So I think seeing Black folk who embrace both their ethnic identity and their national identity is a good thing. The left has captured ideas around racial identity and now hold Black people who don't ascribe to their views hostage and basically tell them, you're not Black enough. We're going to put you out. You're a foot soldier for white supremacy. You're a mouthpiece for white nationalists. And I think that's part of the reason that people push back. But
I guess let's take the Black church for an example. I would probably say, yeah, I'm a skeptic of the Black church. I believe in neighborhood churches. And so literally, I've made a conscientious choice. I could live pretty much wherever I want to live. I intentionally live in a zip code in an area that's 39% Black. And so I believe in, because I'll never forget, I'm going to call his name. He used to irritate the sports writer for the ESPN. This dude, and everybody knows, I got no problem. The guy married a white woman. I got no problem with it. But don't get on, when the cops bust you for putting your hands on her, and he started complaining about how they were racist and started complaining about, the town where this happened in is 98.3% white and blah, 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 and they're racist. And my first thought was like, hey man, you chose to live in that zip code. That's a decision you made that you were comfortable with. But now that they catch you putting your hands on your wife, now they racist. So again, there's never been a zip code that I lived in that I didn't know the demographics of the people I was around, and it's a choice. And so it's like, you lived in a zip code 98% white because that's what you were comfortable with and that's what you wanted to do. And deal with the consequences of that. Don't put your hands on your white wife, and the cops will leave you alone. And so that's what drives me crazy about the Black left. It's we want to live out here and then tell people there what they should do, and we want to dip our toes into the Black community by visiting a church on Sunday and then immediately evacuating back to our white zip code and neighborhood. I just don't believe in that. But having said that, I just don't think the way Blackness has been defined by mainstream America and all the pressure that's put on people you got to use the N-word. You should speak in a little bit of a broken English. You need to wear your pants hanging a little bit low off your ass. Smoking weed is important if you really want to be, and make sure whenever you go in that voting booth, pull that Democratic lever.
Here we go right now. Listen to him. Check him out.
I'm in trouble. But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't Black.
All the things that they've made central to Black identity, they're at odds with my Christian identity, and if I can only choose one, Jesus or my Black skin color, I'm gonna have to, at 54, choose Jesus.
and I think you raised some excellent points, Jason, and I'm glad you started that portion of the discussion when talking about the black church, because it shows the limitations of identity, right? Because I would say that the black church, particularly in 2021, and I'm not saying all majority black churches, I'm talking about a specific set of churches who see their primary role in society not as advancing the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, but of advancing a particular social and political agenda to free black people from what they see as the worst form of bondage, which is social and economic and racial oppression, as opposed to bondage to sin, right? So I'm talking about a very specific set of churches.
Powerful what you just said. Could you please repeat that? Because I don't think most people understand that concept. The oppression of sin versus this other just slay it just a bit more slowly. That was a powerful statement.
So in many respects, when we talk about the black church, again, it comes out of a particular history, right? But my contention is that in 2021, there are many black churches who see their role primarily as freeing black people from what they see as the worst form of oppression, which is racial and economic injustice and discrimination, as opposed to freeing its congregants from what the scriptures describe as the worst form of oppression, which is bondage to sin. So in many respects, these churches have tilted completely in the direction of being black and away from the direction of being a church. So in a lot of churches I'm talking about, they're basically just a glorified NAACP with a leader who wears a clerical collar, and that's about it. So when you listen to someone, for instance, like Reverend William Barber from North Carolina, you really can't tell a difference between him, and again, he says he's a reverend, and the average sort of Democratic functionary. He parrots all the same talking points. He even goes to Planned Parenthood's 100th year anniversary, not to rip them a new one, not to criticize them for the destruction that they've wrought in the black community, not to excoriate them for the eugenics campaign that they've run on us for keeping our population at 13%. He goes there to congratulate them on the good work that they've done. So in many respects, the churches that I'm talking about, the black churches that I'm talking about, who again come out of a particular history, their arc is similar to the arc of many other black institutions or leaders or groups who have taken what freedom has presented them with and run the ball in the total opposite direction. We're at the point now, Jason, where the chair of the Africana Studies Department at Howard University, again, one of the most significant colleges and certainly HBCUs in the country, says that women who seek abortions in other states because of the Texas abortion law are basically channeling the spirit of Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad.
As each name was recited, Dr. Abdullah poured libations onto the ground as the group of over 100 chanted a term which a large group in West Africa use as practitioners of this faith. And basically it's witch doctor kind of stuff, summoning deities. So this is the religion of Black Lives Matter. And here is, in June, Colors and Abdullah recorded on a Facebook Live event. They talked about summoning spirits as part of their work. This is Dr. Abdullah. Listen.
When we say the names, right? So we speak their names, we say her name, say their names. We do that all the time, that you kind of invoke that spirit, and then those spirits actually become present with you, right? The first thing that we do when we hear of a murder is we come out, we pray, we pour a libation, we build with the community where the person's life was stolen. And it took almost a year for me to realize that this movement is much more than a racial and social justice movement. At its core, it's a spiritual movement.
Oh, amen.
Because we're literally standing on spilled blood.
Amen. Yes, it is a spiritual movement. Here she is again talking about how she laughs with one of the spirits that she summons.
We become very intimate with the spirits that we call on regularly, right? Like each of them seems to have a different presence and personality. You know, I laugh a lot with Waukesha, you know, and I didn't meet her in her body, right? I met her through this work.
Okay, so if we've been telling you for months, people keep saying Black Lives Matter, but I keep telling you it's not what you think it is. The BLM organization is fully anti-police, anti-capitalist, anti-family, pro-revolution, pro-Marxist, and now we find out apparently pro-summoning spirits and having a good laugh with them.
I don't share values with Black Lives Matter, the organization. I just don't. They're against the nuclear family. I'm for it. They're for abortion. I'm against it. They're anti-God. They channel spirits. When they say their name, quote unquote, they are trying to channel spirits. They've said so. I'm against that. So in many respects, you know, we don't have the same values. We have the same skin color. And again, it shows the limitations of racial identity. But that open hand means that there are opportunities just waiting around for us and all Americans to take advantage of. But if we are so blinded, right, and so brainwashed by what I've described as the Selma syndrome, to think that America in 2021 is the same as in 1921, then our hand will stay open, waiting for the two things that we think will lead us to the promised land: bigger government and better white people.
Delano, thank you. I'm a really corny 54-year-old. I'm just telling you, that bondage of sin deal that you went through has me so emotional. When I hear something that profound and something that just opens my eyes to the truth and a way of explaining the truth, that it's thank you. This is why I call you the smartest man on the show. It's thank you. Delano Squires with some powerful words there. I hope that are you a fearless soldier? Because if you are, if you want to save this country, we got to amplify things like what Delano just said.
The message you have just heard, Wake Up Judah, again, 100% supports.